welcome to my little urban homestead. Patchwork. This what is commonly known as cathedral windows, but I make them into cushion covers. It's sort of like 3D cushion covers. So this is where I'm at the moment. I have here a total of 16 squares that are 3.5 inches wide. Now this is black, which I'm doing as the background. You could have white, cream, whatever colour you wanted, but I'm having black as the background colour. In the windows themselves are going to be this animal. So I have 5 of those at 3.5 inch squares. Because to help it more 3D, they will each have a wadding batting behind them, which will puff it out. And so I've got 5 3.5 inch squares of wadding, but I don't need them just yet. There's here, because the windows are curved, I have 5 6.25 inch squares again. I only need these at the moment. I've got one of the black squares, put it with the right side up. If you can't tell on this, but if you've got one that has a definite right side and wrong side, you want the right side up, and you want your 6.25 inch square with the right sides out. Line it up along the bottom. Because this can be a little fiddly, it might help if you just grab a pen and just put it in there so it stays where you want it to go. And then put your other black on. Move your pen. And so from the corner all the way down, and you will see it doesn't meet exactly that's what you want. And if you open it out, you can see now it's there. So move the 2 bits that you've added to your longer strip, let your pen, make sure all your edges are still straight. There we are. We need to put a backing, well, one of your backing fabric ones down, make sure it's all lined upright. Pen, pen, and do the same again, so all the way down it. Take your pen out because it's done its job. It looks a bit weird because now you've got the larger square and you've sewn either side of it. So now basically what we're doing is the larger square, open it out, it will appear to crease and everything inside, but that doesn't matter at the moment. Find your centre where you added it, pin because you want them to be aligned. Pinning the seam allowance. Now we'll just do one side here and then the other side at the machine. You want to make sure no folds or tucks that are going to be sewn in. Doesn't matter if it's folded over further down because that's not going to be sewn in. And that's where it's going to go. It's a bit fiddly, I know. Put that over the top of it. Get another pin just to hold that in place. Make sure the fold is not going to be sewn in. I think that one might be. So let's get it out of the way. And sew all the way down. Take your pins out as you come to them. Now, we're wanting to check that this one under it is right and it's still level. The seams are still level. Check the underside. Make sure you're not going to sew creases into it. Fiddly because they're small. And if you open it out, it's now like that. And you need to do your others exactly the same. Trying a different angle. Alright, it's 4 of these that you need to do. These are the 4 that will have the wadding and your accent fabric in there, and then you'll be folding these over it. But I'll show you better in a bit. So we've got 1 of these squares left, the 6 1/4 inch. So now we're doing exactly the same as we did before with these smaller ones. So let's get 2 out of the way. We fold it in half. We lay it on here. Sorry if my hand's in the way, it's just so I can see it better myself. Pin there to hold it in place. And get another one and pin that in place. So as I say, you do need exactly the same as you did before, but it's a bit easier because it's a bit bigger. And you sew all the way down that edge. I have pressed my seams open. You can nip the ends of the bits that are going to fold. I haven't bothered, I just laid them to one side or the other. as I said, it's exactly the same, but with bigger squares now. So same again, we want one on the bottom, we line the raw edges in the corner up. You don't have to pin this in place, I'm just doing it to help stop it shifting so much. And get the other one on that corner. And sew down. You can trim your squares, these first ones you've done, to 6 1/4 inches. I aren't bothering. Because it's only just going to be a sliver. So we've got it exactly the same. And we lay those two down. These will go on top of it, but we have to straighten this middle bit out. So do the same as we did before, which is find your seam and your other seam, put the two together, pin the seam in place, stretch this out as far as it will go, because obviously it's not as big as these other squares. Make sure it's lined up. Pin that in place. As before, I will sort this out when I get there on the sewing machine. So I'll start sewing this bit. You don't have to worry that the other diamond bits are going to get in your way, because they don't. They're stitched down. Make sure you're not going to sew any creases into it, and you're going to catch all your raw edges. Looks might sew down, so use whatever you've got to hand. Normally with sewers we have our seam ripper to hand. And that's how it comes out, just in the middle. I've got 2 strips of the same colour that I've done these in, and they're width of fabric and 1 inches. And basically all I'm going to do is now sew them round all 4 sides. So I'm now got them on, so I'm going to press, trim and sew about a 3-inch strip around it, 3-inch strip of black, and then I'll come back to you. Right, I've now, this actually, it is wadding, but it's an old quilt of ours that Seeing as this is for us, and I'm not going to sell it or anything, I'm using the whole quilt as wadding. Why throw something out when I can cut it up and use it for something else? That I put a square there because that's what I'm going to be doing. Now I'll zoom the camera in so you can see what I'm actually going to do. I put a walking foot on here. It's a generic low shank walking foot because there's several layers, so I want them to stay in place. But how it'll do, I don't know, because I don't normally use a walking foot on here. So I'll try it for this first one. So what I've actually got is a small piece of polyester wadding and then the piece of fabric on top of it, and then we're going to fold it over and sew all along this line that we've folded over. I did one edge with the walking foot, didn't like it, and changed back to the foot that I normally use, which is 1/4 of an inch. Not that I actually need it to give me 1/4 of an inch, because you're just folding these over and go around it. If you need to push anything slightly, then use your seam ripper. Your seam ripper will also help it to lie down so you can guide it better. But you just have to take this bit slowly. Do a little teeny bit at a time. And that's what it turns out like. So I'll do these other 4 now, and I'll show you when I've done that. In fact, I'll do another one as I am now. I'm not going to cut my threads until I've finished, so I'm leaving a nice long tail. Let's get another one of those and that. Lay that on where I want, where I want it to go. Lay the piece of fabric down on top of it. I just put a pin through it just to hook it in the general area I want it to be. Get it started off turning. Use your seam ripper if necessary. I hate this is picking it up. You're just picking your hand up, aren't you? Drop your needle, and that'll hold it there while you readjust. Same as I said on the last one, just take it nice and slow. That's it. And when we've got to the end of that, move on to the next side. And bring it over again. Seam ripper in there to help it lay down where you want it to go and not where it wants. The thread sticking up, that's better. Takes your time, but the effect is really nice. I've got two sides now, so I don't need that pin. Take it out before it sticks in me. And again, this is where the knee lift has come into its own making these, because I can lift my foot out the way. But if you haven't got a knee lift, just pick your foot up, you press the foot, top down, out of the way, what you want out of the way, turn over the end, get it where you want, drop your presser foot and go for it. But I'm spoilt with having that knee lifter. It makes it so much easier. I've stitched around all these curved edges and tied them down. I've also stitched in the ditch both sides of this thin beige line. Now you could leave it like that and make it into a cushion cover, or you could do more quilting on it and make it in a cushion cover. I haven't decided yet which I'm going to do, so at the moment it's staying like this until I do decide, because I've enjoyed making it, and that's what I do. I make things for the sheer enjoyment of it. Thank you. Bye.